Welcome to Sunset Drives. You join me today in a Porsche Macan that I just purchased. This is Angel's new daily driver. We are replacing her Honda CR-V with this certified pre-owned Macan, which is a perfect vehicle for today's video topic, why I like purchasing CPO luxury vehicles. CPO stands for Certified Pre-Owned. It's when the manufacturer provides a certified extended warranty on a pre-owned vehicle. This is now the fourth CPO car I've bought. I had a V8.5 Audi S4, that was a 2014, then a 2016 Audi RS7, a 2019 Audi A8L, and now this, a 2021 Porsche Macan. This morning, I flew down to Knoxville, Tennessee. We picked up this Macan at Harper Porsche, and we are driving it all the way back home to Michigan. I'm by myself because Angel had to work today, so solo trip down to grab the car, drive home, and well, the sun is starting to set as we're about halfway through our drive, so I figured I would do this week's Sunset Drives video and talk about why I like buying a CPO luxury vehicle. So, what is the main reason why you would consider buying a CPO car? Well, any CPO car doesn't have to be a luxury vehicle, but you are essentially avoiding the largest amount of depreciation with a little bit of peace of mind because of that extended warranty. What are the benefits of buying a brand new car? Well, it is brand new. Nobody's driven it before. And you have the brand new manufacturer warranty, which is typically the best warranty you will get, bumper to bumper, covering everything in the vehicle, and of course the powertrain warranty. Now, as you buy used cars, as the cars get older, you start taking on some more of the risk because they may not be in warranty anymore, things may go wrong, there's wear and tear. And what a CPO do, it gives you kind of a balance of the two while avoiding the most amount of depreciation. So I think the most expensive way to own a car would probably be to lease and or purchase brand new and change every 2 to 3 years, because the heaviest amount of depreciation occurs in the first couple years. You know the saying, right? When you drive a car off the lot, it loses 30% immediately. Well, there is some amount of truth to that because the depreciation curve starts off much steeper and gradually slows down. And while buying a CPO used car doesn't mean you're completely avoiding depreciation, you are avoiding a pretty substantial amount of it. And the magnitude of that depreciation that you are avoiding is higher on a luxury vehicle. So some numbers, for example. My 2019 A8L was a $110,000 car when new. I bought it with just 10,000 miles on it for $50,000, and it had an extended warranty. So that means the first owner lost 60 grand driving at only 10,000 miles. Now that one is a very, very low mileage example. My RS7 is another example. That one I bought with, I think, this was a while ago, maybe 20-something thousand miles, maybe, actually, I have no idea how many miles were on that thing. Maybe 15, whatever. So it was 130,000, but I bought it for 75. So if I bought it brand new, it would have been cool to get, but I would have lost $60,000 in the first couple of years, and buying a certified pre-owned car allows you to avoid that. This Macan in 2021 was $66,000, and now we just bought it for just under $40,000. So you see, we're avoiding a large chunk of that depreciation, but we're still getting a nice car. It's still relatively modern, right? There's a time limit usually and a mileage of which a manufacturer will certify a vehicle. They're not going to CPO a car from 2004, right? It's just too old. They're not going to take on that risk. It's not how it works. Usually newer cars, maybe a lease trade-in or just used inventory that's in better condition, that they're willing to do a little bit of light reconditioning and add their CPO warranty to it, and it will cost more. So that's another caveat. When you buy a CPO car that's used, it's going to be more expensive than a comparable non-CPO car because, I mean, theoretically the manufacturer's putting their name behind it, right? They're extending the warranty, so there is a value behind that. It sometimes will cost them a bit of money to recondition a car. For example, this Macan right here, before we bought it, received the 40,000 mile service. That one has been done, which is a pretty expensive one on these Porsches. It has brand new tires all around, brand new brakes, rotors and pads all around. And that all costs money for a dealer to certify it. So this was maybe $2,000 more than a comparable non-certified car, but what you get is peace of mind and still a very nice vehicle to drive. when you look at a car like this was, again, just under $40,000, $39,000. Yeah, it's got 46,000 miles, 45 something when I bought it, and I've been driving back from Tennessee, so we're piling on some more miles with this trip. But yes, it has miles, but it's still in very good condition. The interior feels quite nice, and while the newest Macan is a little bit more advanced, they've changed the interior, they've refreshed the exterior a little bit, and there's the Macan EV now. Those are 60, 70 grand, and even a 4-year used Macan like this, I think, is still better than a brand new Honda CR-V. For example, that's what Angel, my fiance, has been driving. She's a 2023 CR-V, which doesn't have all-wheel drive, doesn't have cooled seats, doesn't have a heated steering wheel, doesn't have as nice of a sound system, doesn't have a sunroof. So all of these various things for not a massive price difference. I mean, new cars are getting so dang expensive these days, so you're getting more content if you just are willing to go slightly used. Now, there are a lot of caveats, a lot of cautions and warnings, and there is still risk because you're still buying a used car. So some of the biggest pieces of risk are a certified pre-owned car is only as good as the dealer that is certified. You have to take it with a huge grain of salt, and I learned that lesson the hard way, right? Naive, younger Eddie went in because I had a good experience with my first CPO car. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. It felt like it was brand new, and I paid a fraction of the original MSRP. Well, sometimes the dealers can be less fantastic. So my RS7 was a little bit of a nightmare. I found one at Audi North Miami, and it looked clean. The certification, like the test, the checklist came through. They showed me that. Their inspection, that's what it's called, looked fantastic. They never disclosed that there was an accident and had been repaired, not under Carfax, all these various things. They should have told me. It became this whole big thing to the point where Audi North America stepped in to kind of help mediate and resolve that situation. So that's when it can go wrong. And the lesson learned there is the CPO value, the inspection can be sometimes a little more superficial. If you get a good dealer, for example, they're reconditioning various things on this car. So we have brand new tires and brakes. I have the service reports of when it went in the computer system, just pictures of that, showing that, yes, on this date, it went in for service, it went in for tires, it went in for brakes, X, Y, and Z. It's only as good as the dealer that's doing it, right? They run through those checklists. So I think the biggest value, the best part of having a CPO car is going to be the warranty, the extended warranty. Now, the warranties also vary depending on the manufacturer. From what I know, Audi, BMW, most of them, it's 1 year, maybe 20,000 miles past the expiration of the new car warranty. You have to check those details. And that's all based off of the car's in-service date. That's when you determine the new car warranty starting and when it expires. So new cars, let's just say, comes with a 4-year, 50,000 mile new car warranty. So you take a look at when it was first sold, the in-service date, you go 4 years from that, that's the brand new car expiration. Then if it's still within that period, the CPO typically just tacks on top of that. So you have an additional year and however many miles depending on the CPO program. For example, Porsche is nice because Porsche does a 2-year unlimited mile warranty for their CPO cars. So that's an additional year and unlimited miles compared to what Audi and BMW do. I keep mentioning Audi and BMW because we were cross-shopping this with X3, X5, a Audi Q5. So that's kind of on my mind right now. But Porsche with the 2-year unlimited miles, like, ooh, that's really cool. That's more than I'm used to. Usually it's 1 more year. Now, when you buy the car CPO, if the existing factory new car warranty has already expired, typically you just get the CPO warranty from your purchase date, so it adds on there. Now this car here, I think actually still is under the factory warranty as a 2021. It expires end of this year, so we get until end of this year, and then we get 2 more years on top of that unlimited miles. And that to me is that's a nice upside, right? That's why buying a CPO car can be appealing. You're avoiding the majority of the depreciation. You still have some sort of factory-backed warranty, and it's still got some nice features because you're buying a nicer car. Now, that's the first piece of caution. You have to be kind of cognizant of the fact that the certified inspection is only as good as a dealer doing it. Check the dealer reviews, kind of do your due diligence. For a higher end, enthusiast focused, or just a more specialty vehicle, it may still be worth scheduling an independent PPI, a pre-purchase inspection, just like you would if you were to buy a regular used car from a third-party dealer or anywhere else, private seller, so forth, right? If you're buying a fancy AMG, an Audi RS model, a Porsche 911 or something, it may still be worth doing that, and I still think that's applicable across the price range. So that is a that is something to be aware of. Another thing is the fact that you're still going to be faced with some depreciation, right? You're paying a higher premium than a non-CPO car, and eventually when that warranty expires, it'll probably be worth a little bit less, and you're still buying a car that's not all the way at the bottom of the depreciation curve, right? So if it drops steeply and it starts slowing down, you're maybe getting 2/3 of the way down, but you still have another third of depreciation to go. So it's not going to be a car you're going to own for free unless you don't keep it for way too long. So some of my other CPO cars, I've only kept for maybe about a year. So I sold them when they were still with a little bit of factory warranty left, and I had avoided the vast majority of depreciation. Now, there are other costs associated with that, right? Some costs that you cannot get back. Sales tax, registration, those two things, you're never going to get those back. Maintenance costs, right? Anything you want to do or change or recondition or improve. Modifications, obviously, if you do wheels, different tires, exhaust, lower it, paint protection film, paint correction, like endless things, right? You're never going to get that back. But in terms of actual depreciation, you're still going to be faced with some. Now, like for example, this Macan here, if instead of buying a CPO one, that's a 2021, I went way earlier on. If I bought the first gen before this refresh, I bought a 2017 or something like that, right? That may be even lower in the depreciation curve with even more miles, and I'd lose less money, but that trade-off now is the maintenance cost, right? So if something goes wrong, it could be extremely expensive. This is ultimately still a Porsche. If you're buying a Mercedes, an Audi, anything high-end like that, you're going to have higher ownership costs just due to the cost of the vehicle. And if you don't have a warranty on it, something goes wrong, that could really, really set you backwards if you are really trying to watch how much money a car costs you. I always like to try to think about, there's a difference between how much you can afford to purchase and how much you can afford to lose, right? So if you buy a car and you don't lose much money in it and it doesn't cost that much to maintain and things like that, you essentially just parked your money into something and it became like a savings account that you can drive. Some cars you might even make money on them. My R8, for example, I did not have to spend much on service. It came with Audi Care. Interest rates were extremely low at the time. I put money down, had a payment on a loan, but when I sold it, I actually made money on it, and I was like, okay, cool. That car didn't cost anything, so essentially was a savings account. Now, that's rare, unique situations. Not every car is like that. A Macan will not be like that, but if you find like really specialty cars, you may be able to do something like that. But that's another caution thing, right? When you buy a used Macan for $40,000, or you pick up a highly option, will be a good example from a mainstream manufacturer, like whether it's a Chevrolet, Toyota, Honda, one of their comparable size crossovers. I think a top of the line like RAV4 or Mazda CX-50, probably getting close to 40 grand once you option those up, right? You're gonna have way higher ownership costs in terms of service and parts, even with a CPO warranty, right? There's things that aren't covered, consumables, tires, brakes. Luckily, this one has brand new tires and brakes, which is appealing part of buying this one. But just for example, an oil change. A Porsche oil change, if you go to the dealer, it's going to cost you a ton. Going to an independent shop, it's still going to cost you a lot. Not as much as the dealer, but still a lot more than a RAV4. Even if you just get the synthetic oil and the filter on its own, like component costs are going to be more expensive, and that's just a reality. You have to realize buying a car for 40 grand, this used to be a 70 grand car. It scales as you get higher up, right? The RS7, I might have bought it for 75 grand, but that was a $130,000 car when new. So you're paying $130,000 car costs, part costs, and all the ownership costs, right? Those don't go down. Part costs, replacement costs, like they don't depreciate like the new car price does. So you have to keep that in mind and make sure you can afford it. There's a difference also between being able to purchase a car and being able to afford to own the car, right? So there's a distinction there. These are all risk factors to consider, but for the trade-off of getting a cooler car at a more palatable price point and also avoiding the vast majority of the depreciation is pretty appealing, right? If you're gonna go lease a brand new car every 2 years, you're gonna enjoy the latest and greatest thing. You're always trading up, have the latest technology. You don't really need to worry about anything going wrong because you're always under warranty. But if you think about how much it's costing you between your lease payment, your interest rate, right? Because leases have an interest, a money factor. You are spending a lot of money and not getting anything to show for it. If you lease a car for 2 years, you put a certain amount down, you pay your payments, and then once you're done, you say goodbye, done, right? There are some perks to leasing. If it's a higher end car, you can sometimes have like a tax benefit there, right? Because you're not paying sales tax on the entire purchase price of the vehicle, just your lease amount. Sometimes there's tax credits. There's reasons to lease a car for some people. But if we're looking at just owning the car and trying to avoid those costs, CPO can be pretty appealing. Now, the other thing I would say is when you're looking for a CPO car, make sure you are looking for the manufactured CPO, right? I've seen sometimes if you go on these third-party used car searching resources like cars.com, car gurus, and so forth, if you search by certified, filter by certified, sometimes you end up getting these like dealer certified stuff. The recent one, when I was searching for this car, I found like a bunch of Ford dealers advertising some sort of like Ford certified program, but it was just like 3 months or something. But because they're technically certified, I guess, they popped up under the filter when I was searching. So it was just used inventory at these Ford dealers that were branded certified. So I looked closely, I was like, wait, that's not an actual certified car. Why would a Ford dealer be certifying a Porsche, right? That makes no sense to me. So go to the OEM sites. The OEMs, if you just look, like I just go Google Porsche CPO, and then they take you to a thing where you can search nationwide. You can filter by all these different parameters, model year, miles, just like you would when you're looking on these other car sites. And then you can find only certified dealer listed inventory that comes back with the factory CPO warranty. And that's applicable to the Audi ones. BMW has one. That's the tool I typically use. So make sure you're getting a proper manufacturer certified vehicle. Dealing with a little bit of traffic here as we're approaching Cincinnati, but that's okay. We're making decent time driving back right now. I knew it was going to hit some sort of traffic, so it's a sunset traffic drive. The other thing to think about is there are third-party extended warranties also available. So I did briefly consider that, right? If I found a non-CPO car that I liked, you could go look for a third-party extended warranty. It's kind of like an insurance warranty kind of thing. Like I know Fidelity has one. Some people with higher-end sports cars will get those too for the peace of mind as they get older. A warranty really is kind of a form of insurance. You're paying into it just in case something were to go wrong. And I've heard good and bad stories about those, right? If you get lucky and you buy a good one, there's a good insurance company, or a warranty company, you have something that goes wrong, you submit the documentation, you get it fixed, and you get reimbursed, and it's easy. I've heard horror stories where they'll fight you over it. They'll try to avoid paying out, kind of like insurance companies too. So make sure you do your research on that. I think the forums can be a very valuable source of information and testimonials from people who have used and experienced these various third-party companies for warranty. The other thing to consider is you want to make sure you're maintaining your car properly, regardless of a CPO or third-party warranty. Definitely CPO. I think it's a myth that you have to go to a authorized dealer for all of your service. Actually, when I was just purchasing this, the finance manager was asking me if I wanted a extended service plan. I'm like, no, I don't think I usually don't keep the cars. Oh, there's a cop coming. Maybe there's an accident. I usually don't keep the cars like too far beyond CPO. Like it's just not something we hold on to a very, very long time. But she made a comment that, yeah, make sure you're getting it serviced properly, and if it's not at a Porsche dealer, you just keep your receipts. So, and I've read that too. I don't think it is absolute fact that you have to go to the OEM dealer. I used to think that. So for my Audis, I would just take them to the Audi dealer for any service work. So if there was ever a warranty question, I could just be like, look, I certified it. I serviced it here at your dealer. Fix it, right? It's not my fault. I took care of the car properly. But as long as you go to a reputable shop, make sure it's handled, make sure you follow the service intervals, keep your receipts. Really, it's just oil changes and things like that. So you should be okay. And just like with a new car, they have to prove that anything you did really directly impacted the issue at hand, right? So like if you put an exhaust on your car and your like your head unit stops working, your infotainment stops working, I'm pretty sure there's that ACT, Magnuson Moss or whatever it's called, like they still have to replace it if it's under warranty, because there's no way a catback exhaust messed with your infotainment. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but I'm pretty sure that is how it works. So make sure you keep your maintenance records for sure. You don't absolutely have to go to the dealer. There must have been an accident because I'm at dead stop right now on the freeway. That is unfortunate. So that's a quick rundown of why I like buying CPO cars. And I went through this process recently convincing Angel, because we wanted to replace her CRV for a couple different reasons, but she was like, why don't I just get a RAV4 and I can drive it for 10 years and it'll be reliable, all these different things. And I was like, but what about something like maybe a used Audi or BMW? Like, you've seen some of these cars, honey. They have really nice features. We're going to get one with all-wheel drive, have a bit more power, nicer interior, all these various perks of having a higher-end vehicle. But she was like, but they're going to cost so much to own. What if they I don't want to have to drop $3,000 fixing stuff. I'm like, I hear you. That is a valid concern, but this is why I like buying them certified pre-owned, because you have a little bit more peace of mind. And I think the takeaway there is you don't want to hold on to cars for too long, because then you end up falling in the same trap. You might as well just bought a used car anyways, right? If you keep it for way too long, you may still end up having some of those higher ownership costs. So if you can get that sweet spot, which is what our plan is, which I kind of pitched Angel on it, let me find you a lightly used, right, medium used luxury crossover in this space. See if you like the features, how it feels. Let's try this. Let's give it a shot and see how you enjoy driving this as your car. So that's how I ended up here in a 2021 Macan and talking about why I like buying a CPO luxury vehicle. Won't be free. It's not the cheapest way, but it is heck of a lot cheaper than ordering a brand new vehicle, driving it for 2 to 3 years, and then flipping it, selling it, trading it in, whatever you're going to do, right? Now, obviously, I think probably the cheapest way. So if we go to the cheapest way to own a car, it would be to buy a used car and just keep it for like 10 years. So you don't have depreciation and you amortize the price over it. If you do buy a brand new car and you keep it for many, many years and just drive it, put all the miles on it, that's like what my parents have always done growing up. I know a lot of people who just view cars as transportation prefer doing that. I mean, that will be cheaper because you're amortizing your ownership costs over all the years of driving. You buy a car once, you pay your sales tax once, and then you drive it for 10 years. You're taking that sales tax and dividing it across 10 years of ownership, and it becomes a lot less, right? If you buy it and then flip it after a year, you're going to end up burning a lot of money, and I have done that in the past, but the CPO game kind of bridged the gap. I'm not saying it's the cheapest. It's not the most expensive. It's not the most, like buying a new car, right? This is still a used car. You don't necessarily know the history. You didn't get to order it the way you wanted. You kind of got to look around. I just go nationwide search, and I'm willing to fly somewhere and drive it home or ship it back because I want to find the car with the right options. Angel specifically wanted a black one with the tan interior. She likes this color combo. I personally would have been like, how about Miami blue? There was a Java Mamba green metallic. It was like the green one. Chalk is really cool. I was like, I don't want a silver, black, or white car. But Angel, this is her car, so we picked the one for her. But that's a slightly rambling Sunset Drives chat about why I like buying CPO luxury cars. I think a lot of this can apply also to CPO regular cars, right? Mainstream cars from regular manufacturers. I think the magnitude of the depreciation avoidance is going to be slightly different just because of the different price point of the cars. Was there an incident? Oh yeah, bumper. Yep, a little bit of a fender bender right there, causing traffic. So I think that's applicable. We'll see what ownership here of this Porsche is going to be like. This is my first time ever owning a Porsche. I'm excited to see what it's like. A Macan is a common, I guess, entry-level stepping stone into the brand. But so far, good impressions on the drive. There we go. This week's Sunset Drives. What do you think about buying CPO luxury vehicles? Do you think it's a dumb idea? I'm sure many people would be like, you're still wasting so much money. You should just buy a RAV4 or drive it for 10 years. Well, as an enthusiast, I wanted something a little more interesting, some fun features, nice, slightly nicer driving dynamics, right? And this was always Angel's dream car. When we first started dating, she was like, I asked her what her dream car was, and she said Porsche Macan. That was before my influence. Subsequently, she started realizing that, ooh, Land Rover Defenders are nice. Ooh, I like this Rivian R1S. Ooh, G63s are pretty cool, too. And one day she was like, I want a Cayenne Turbo GT. And I was like, honey, that's a $200,000 vehicle. I don't think we can afford that right now. She goes, oh, okay, never mind. Macan's okay. But anyways, was able to get her dream car. We'll see how long we own it, what it's like, but another adventure into trying out a certified pre-owned car. And actually, final funny little factoid story. So Angel and I have the same birthday, but we're a year apart, but we have the same birthday. The CPO warranty on this Macan expires on our birthday. So just a funny coincidence, right? We have the same birthday, and now our car warranty expires on a day. So we're definitely not going to forget what day the warranty expires in 2.5-ish years. Hope you guys enjoyed this Sunset Drives chat. Check out some of the other ones that I've posted. I think I'll make a playlist on the channel so you can watch them. It's almost like a pseudo single person podcast, but the whole point is, well, at sunset, I'm in whatever car, go for a drive, pick a topic, talk about it. Comment below if you have anything you would love to hear me chat about. I got a couple comments. There's one I want to talk about how to handle burnouts, dealing with burnout with work and all those things. Another one is how to enjoy the journey, not just the destination. So I will plan on filming those videos coming up. Hope you guys enjoyed the Sunset Drives. Thanks for watching.